Somewhere in the ESPN era, the UFC started to feel like a content mill instead of a sport. And it wasn't some big turning point. It happened quietly, during the pandemic, ushering in an Apex era when the convenience started replacing consequence. The Apex didn't just change where fights happen, it changed how often they happen and how disposable they started to feel. The shift still hasn't fully gone away. It's a question that doesn't really have a clean answer, which is why we ended up talking it through instead of trying to sum it up. So this is just two people talking it out. There's no agenda. We're just trying to understand how a few strange years reshaped the UFC in ways that we're still feeling and what's on the horizon to come. Gene Rogers joins the show. He is here to talk about the end of the UFC ESPN era. You may know Gene from the old TikToks and from YouTube shorts, where he's always chiming in with the most golden nuggets. And you know he has more to say on it, but he keeps it short on purpose that way. Gene, my man, what's up, dude? Thanks for joining.
Not much, Blaine. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. So
yeah, we've been talking about it for forever, man.
Yeah. Well, it's a holiday. It's the holiday, so it's kind of hard to line things up,
Yeah, for sure. It's same. We've been running the roads, man. But we're here to talk about the end of the UFC and the ESPN era. Their toxic relationship, I guess you would say. It started out with I keep thinking, Gene. I keep thinking back to how it started out. And the very first card was that infamous Henry Cejudo TJ Dillashaw card. And we ended on, but not really a group of bad cards. Like even the last Apex card wasn't terrible. If this is the kind of conversation you come here for, subscribing helps more than anything. That's how this channel survives. But it just the sport seems like it moved from something that was like, oh, this is something special coming on here, to ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, and now it's kind of like, it seems like a content mill, honestly. It seems like somebody trying to make fist fight TikToks with high-level athletes. What's your thoughts on kind of the evolution from where it started to where we are now?
Yeah, so like you said, it used to be special, and I think the one thing that really kind of ruined things was the pandemic. Because, with the guaranteed money, when they knew that they could just give us a card every week and we were pretty much going to be happy. And at first it was fine because, we got Max Holloway in the Apex. We got Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker in the Apex. We got some
Gaethje
really good
versus
fights.
Tony. Gaethje Tony.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. God, that fight
Yeah.
to watch in hindsight is just so sad. But yeah, at first it was like, they knew they had to try. But then, the cards got worse and worse and worse over the years. And now it's not as special. And as somebody that's watched for 17 years, it's not the same. And I always love to, when I say, there's too many events, maybe cut it back to like 30, 35. People are like, well, you're such a casual. You don't like UFC, or you don't want a card every week. It's like, no, because I have a life and I have other things I want to do. But yeah,
but we're addicted and we're going to watch anyway.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too about it is, like, I remember, like, I've got so many DVDs, and like back then it was like every fight was worth watching, and now it's like sometimes you'll have a main card that's got one fight that's worth watching,
right?
Prelims that are terrible. It's almost, in a way that's like boxing, to where it's like you get a bunch of slop, and then, well, your main event's great, but
right, right.
But we don't have to do that anymore, though. So
no. So I mean, it's weird, man, because like I've been saying that the UFC is moving towards this boxing model for a while now. I do think that the lower level of cards are getting worse, and the higher level of the cards are typically getting better. We've gotten Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. We've got Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. Those are very compelling fights. We were getting Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. We're getting very compelling fights at the top, but then you're watching like Buchecha and Kennedy and Nzechukwu go, and it's like, what is happening here? Well, Buchecha's good at what he does, but like this isn't a high level MMA fight. It's not. I think the pandemic. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I think pairing that with the Contender Series, that gave them an avenue to cut out the middleman of LFA and Cage Warriors. And all right, now you got to come through the Contender Series. So not only do you have to become champion in LFA, Cage Warriors, and all these other promotions, you also have to go through the Contender Series and win a fight there. And that just enabled them to hire content fighters. You know what I mean? They want to hire these guys that, or I say hire, they're not really employees, I guess. But you get what I'm saying. Like they're getting these lower level fighters that aren't quite ready for the big show yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like back in the day, we had a lot of great fighters come out of Contender Series, and
Hmm.
now they just do it as a way to, well, oh, you saw this guy on Tuesday a couple months ago. Like they just want to have that familiarity, and I'm not to sound like a snob, but all fights are not created equal.
No.
And yeah, to me, that's just a good way for them to slop it up, like we've been saying. I'd actually, a lot of the time, don't watch Contender Series because
Mm-mm.
I'll see on Twitter if somebody's worth knowing about, and I'll go back and watch it. But I usually just ignore it.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. It's like another regional promotion. It's like, I don't have time for it.
Also,
Um,
too,
it's
yeah.
just like
Also,
go ahead.
also too, what's going on with like Fight Pass? They're not LFA's not coming back. They're like dropping promotions and stuff now. So it's like I guess they probably just want Contender Series to be the only thing that they get, their talent from. Keep
So
them on the cheap contracts.
I got a message not too long or earlier today. Apparently you have to pay to watch old fights from the UFC to Paramount Plus. They're like 2.99,
Oh God.
which is would explain the offboarding of Fight Pass. They're trying to get rid of Fight Pass. So if Paramount sees the fight library, pun intended,
Yep.
yeah, they see this as an opportunity to, oh, you want to watch John Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson one? All right, 2.99, you can have it. Yeah, that's not good. That's
That
that's very bad actually.
that's especially too. I asked you a couple weeks ago or a while back. I was like, "Is it Fight Pass back up?" And you said, "Yeah." Now it's like, what am I supposed to do for a tape study? It's something I don't usually have a lot of time to do. But like, how do I find Fluffy Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze? Is it gonna be on Paramount Plus?
I think eventually it will. I think they're going to migrate all of it over and kind of bolster what they have. But again, I think it's going to be video on demand 2.99. You want it? Go ahead, come get it. But be warned, it's going to cost you, and that's just going to open up the opportunity for piracy of the old events, which kind of isn't fair. Now I will say like if the fights are 2.99 and they're cutting in both of the fighters half a dollar for every time their fights bought, that's kind of cool. That could be, like an interesting form of income, but I'll be honest, I don't see that happening. You know, I
No.
don't see it happening.
Endeavor's not about, paying their fighters. So
Oh,
even
definitely.
though Dana White and Daniel Cormier say that fighter pay is going to be good, so
Oh
whatever
yeah,
that
it's definitely
means,
it's going to be good. It's
it's
going
going to be
up.
good from top to bottom. They're going to get more money. It's like, okay, whatever you say.
It's crazy how it seems like the second Endeavor stepped in, things started to change.
Like,
And as you see with boxing, like when the businessmen get involved, it messes the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilders up. It messes the big fights up, and I don't know if it's been a net positive. Sure, like the product looks better and it's cooler and you've got the LED walking around the ring type thing and all that, but like at the end of the day, is the product like the actual product, the core of itself, the fights, are they better? And I'd argue no.
I would agree with that. And I so about Endeavor, Miguel Class, the great Miguel Class actually
My
had
boy.
it was like what's or a harsh truth or harsh reality? It's like the UFC peaked 10 years ago. And which I obviously agree with, which is around when Endeavor took
Yeah.
over. But also too, you just see the show that Ryzen had, all the pageantry, all the
Yeah.
presentation. It's like the UFC used to kind of do that, back in like 2005, but not now. They could try a lot harder, but they don't have to because they think they're the NFL of mixed martial arts. So
Which is what they want to be,
yeah,
and I get that. I get that. They're not competing with PFL and all these guys anymore. No, they're competing with NFL, the MLB. They're competing with the big dogs, soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. They are competing with the big boys now. They're not like competing with LFA or Octagon or KSW. Like those may be great in their regions, but like nobody has the global dominance. Notice like I didn't even mention one championship because like they're on death's door. Like they're not worried
uh,
about them. They're not
what?
worried
Yeah,
about them.
what's going on with that? Are they
Mm,
actually just lying about numbers every other day? And
I think they just announced a bunch of cards for this year, and it ended up being all Lumpini stadium fights, which tells me it's like just Muay Thai now. Which
okay, well,
I mean,
they're good at
that's good.
that.
That
They're
yeah,
good.
they're very good at it.
At
I hope they keep up. So how would you fix it? That's a loaded question, but like we've been talking about the problems and stuff, and we're not paid to fix it, but I mean, if you know Ari Emanuel decides to listen to our show and grace us with his time, you know, Ari, Gene's gonna tell you how to fix it. Gene, tell Ari.
I that's something they never do, but just less content. Which I mean, if they were to get paid, $7, $8 billion for 30 events, like, they used to have what, 30 or so events. That'd be great. Um, the video packages now feel lazy. Like a lot of the time, it's like, why am I
Formulas.
supposed to care about what's that?
They're like formulas.
Yeah, it's just very like cookie cutter, I guess. It's like I don't know. I mean, like it just seems like back in the day they would like show us stuff from like the countdown shows and you just don't really see that. And also too like the sit down interviews where the two guys would face off. That was big around the 14 to 19 range and they don't really do that anymore.
You remember
Um,
TJ and Dominic Cruz going at it? Like that
exactly.
was beautiful.
You got to talk to me. I'm sitting right in front of you, dummy. Or maybe that might have been Cody. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that was it.
Either way,
Well, like,
still a great moment that we all
I know you.
remember.
I know you're not a boxing guy, but Devin Haney and Brian Norman did that leading into their fight, and as boring as Devin Haney is, that made that fight that much more interesting.
I want to get into boxing. I don't have the time, but that's
So
good.
good.
I don't know if you remember this. I remember one of the Patricio Pitbull Michael Chandler fights. They did that for when they
Mm-hmm.
first got on DAZN or DAZN over that, whatever the hell it's
Mm-hmm.
called. And it was just like 20 minutes of Michael Chandler being a dickhead, and that interview and just everything since is why I've never liked Michael Chandler. But
Yeah,
but that's like a reason to watch is because I want to see Michael Chandler lose, and
you
there's
got
just
to
so
see
many
it.
like when Aaron Pico came over. Like, why didn't they hype him up? I mean, they did, but they didn't. It's
Yeah,
like it's like
it's
he's this Bellator guy. Like he's good, but like why is he good? He won't tell us.
right.
But
Yeah,
like if
like we
somebody
don't know how
that's
great at wrestling he was. You know, like he beat Jordan Oliver multiple times at the senior level. That level, good. You know,
yeah, I know
he's.
you're a big wrestling guy, so
I like it all. I'm such
yeah,
a junkie.
yeah. I try to be, but there's just not enough time, man.
No, there's not enough time in the day. Not enough time in the day. Do you think there's a chance that this gets fixed with the Paramount era, with the, you know, accessibility, given the option that, you know, there might be more eyes on this, you know, is there a
That
chance that this is better?
uh yes, to circle back though, I wish the UFC would promote more, which
Yeah.
is kind of what I was already saying, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, you don't give somebody $8 billion and just expect them to keep phoning it in like the UFC has been for pretty much like the last 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, also too, the fact that the base model package is what, $8 and you get every event. I think that includes contender series and all that other stuff.
And the Zuffa boxing, and I think they're
Yeah,
moving UFC BJJ there too.
yeah.
So
Didn't Mikey left them or whatever, right?
his contract ran out. He didn't resign. I think they're finding it hard to convince BJJ athletes to be like, hey, stick exclusive here because that's kind of a different ballpark. But they could figure that out too. I hope they do. They could
I
help
wish
that scene.
I mean, I wonder if they'll put Power Slap on there.
Ah, I did a graphic for MMA fighting. I think Powerslap events, 12 of them are going to be on there on this thing, which I'm like, have fun.
I actually love Power Slap.
Do
That's
you
like my
really?
favorite sport.
What do you like about it? What's so good about it?
It's just so like unironically funny because I remember I was watching them watching an episode one time and there's like they literally hype these guys up and promote these guys more on Power Slap. They'll give you video packages and like background and lore, and then it'll just be some guy training his neck in a gym. And then they go to the fight, and then he loses the coin toss, and he gets KO'd on the first slap. It's just so funny
That's
to me. I don't.
hilarious.
It's kind of like To Catch a Predator. Like you watch it and it's funny, but like it's not funny at the same time. Like I
Right.
think anybody that does like power slaps is an idiot. But
Gotta be. Gotta be. Paige Van Zandt did it, which is really weird.
uh, yeah, her career really went in the toilet after UFC.
Like bare knuckle and then just
I don't think she even knocked anybody out on power slap or anything.
so like does everybody like get knockouts in power slap?
So this is not a joke. Sometimes the women fights don't usually go. They usually go to decision. This is not a joke. I'm
What is a
100%
decision in
serious.
power slap?
You just slap each other for 3 to 5 rounds, one slap around per person, and then it goes to the judges' scorecards somehow. But the best base for power slap is to just be really obese because
Really?
there's a couple Hawaiian guys that are brothers, and then Dumpling is like this big Russian guy that's
I know him.
obese. Yeah, and like they never get knocked out. They just slap each other and slap each other, and they never go down. And it's so funny. It's just so. It's not something I like go out of my way to watch all the time. But if I see the video on YouTube, I'll skim through it and just kind of laugh at it because it's hilarious,
That's kind of
actually.
funny. That's kind of funny. And I mean, I can kind of see why it would be entertaining. Kind of not for me. I kind of, it's a little, I don't want to say too much because I watch some brutally violent sports like King of the Streets for God's sakes. Have you seen that? King of the
I,
Streets?
what, no, is that just street fights?
No, so it's professional MMA fights, but think like Fight Club, all right? We don't talk about Fight
Okay.
Club, but these guys are
Okay.
like on concrete MMA fights in like
Ooh.
shoes, beating each other up. Apparently they get all drugged up on stimulants. I can't say the M word on the channel, but it drugs that make you go fast beforehand in Poland, and they just go to town on each other. It's the most brutal thing. Like there's eye gouges, headbutts. There's like no holds barred. It's pretty brutal.
So it's like 1993 UFC then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Except on concrete. I'm like,
Yeah,
somebody's gonna die.
I'm a ghoul. I might be willing to maybe check that out
I'll
sometime.
send you some links, dude, because it's
All right.
sick. They did one in like a gladiator arena, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
They were like all dusty and stuff. It was cool.
My other hot take too, just really quick, is like I wish fights were one round and just like no stool sitting and just
Let them
keep the
go.
gloves and keep the rules, but just one round. Just make it more
Right.
like the night school, but they would never do that, obviously.
Right.
Sponsor.
Right. It's got to be kind of viewer friendly, and one round's not going to be viewer friendly. There'll be a lot of stalling in that. That's I like the I kind of like the format of it. I do find myself more partial right now to like boxing format of 12 3-minute rounds because like there's a lot more ebb and flow in 12 rounds. Like we'll see like for example like Devin Haney beating Lomachenko early in his fight because Lomachenko's a little trigger shy. Lomachenko starts to come back and then in the 12th round it's like all right we're kind of tied up here. Who wins the last round wins the fight and Haney takes away the last round. I like that ebb and flow that boxing provides. I you get it in MMA. It's a little bit more pronounced, a little bit more sports like in boxing.
I was actually really sad when Lomachenko retired. He was one of my
Same.
favorites.
He's so
Appointment
good.
viewing back on the early ESPN Plus days.
Yes. Yeah, I love Lomachenko. So tell me about you, dude. Like you make all these shorts, all these TikToks and reels and stuff. Like you do it for the love of the game, man. Like what drives you to make all this kind of content, you know?
Yeah, for now it's just love of the game. It's just I've always wanted to do YouTube, and the shorts are just really easy to pump out because I feel like I know what I'm talking about in most cases. Some people disagree with that, but I just really like MMA, and it's kind of funny how the product is the worst it's ever been, but my enthusiasm is at its highest. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just love making stuff. I love the comments. I love the views. I don't know. I just love it all. I love watching. I love tape study. I love it all. So
You mentioned earlier you've been watching for 17 years. What was the first fight?
my I would consider my first card UFC 86, which was Rampage Jackson versus Forrest Griffin.
Oh,
So yeah, something about uh I saw it was like random. It was like the summer of 2008, and I saw a clip of Rampage knocking out Chuck Liddell at 71.
right,
And I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna get out. So back then, YouTube was like a wild west of like you could find anything. So there was
right.
just these free fights and free events, and I just like watched MMA all summer break, and ever since then. And
Yeah,
then
man. My first was Jones Gustafson one. Some friends invited me out to Twin Peaks. I was like, I'll go watch the LSU football game with you guys. I'll hang out afterwards. And then they put on the best fight of all time. And I'm like, I've been chasing that dragon ever since pretty much. Like, there's not been a fight like that since. Like, there's very few where I'm like, oh, this makes me feel like that. Like, Conor Khabib was one of them. Holloway and Gaethje was supposed to be one of them. And that turned out to be kind of a letdown. I'm trying to think of another one that kind of gave me. Alex Pereira kind of gets me close. Just in
I
general.
Yeah, I've actually never rewatched Gustafson and Jones one. I don't know. I think I'm afraid to because like I know it's great, but
Yeah.
like you said, like I will just chase the dragon forever.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, I'm a huge Max fan, as you can see behind me, but
I love it.
I literally I probably watch once a week. Calvin versus Max, because that fight was just, it was euphoric. I literally
Beating.
watching my buddies just beating the absolute piss out of that dude. Like, it was crazy. I genuinely think, and call me biased because Max is my favorite of all time, but I think if Volk was in the cage that night, I don't think Volk would have won. I don't think anybody would have won against Max that night.
There are some nights where I think fighters are just like on a different
He was
level.
so on.
He was perfect. He was perfect. Another fight, if you go watch Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks, it was like a 90-second fight, but like
I think I've seen it, yeah.
There's no heavyweight alive or in history that would have beat Mike Tyson that night. He was just like that on. He read Spinks dip to the right. He's like, next time you do that, I'm killing you. And sure enough, he dipped to the right, and Tyson just lands a short right and puts Spinks clean out. It's and like Alex Pereira against Ankalaev, the last fight, like nobody's beating him that night. Nobody's beating him ever. Or Francis with the Stipe fight, you know. There was just some nights that, you know, these fighters are invincible, and it feels like those are the nights, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I also would say too, just to talk about Max for a quick second. I always watch probably once a week too. Poirier, Max too. I just love those fights. So
that's a good fight. That is such a good fight. The last one was good. I was so sad I couldn't go, man. The tickets were so expensive.
Oh God, yeah. Card wasn't great either, so it's just like
I would have gone.
Yeah,
if I had the money, dude, I would have gone because like I knew it was Poirier's last fight, you know, and it was crazy. I had some friends that went, and he's like, it was electric.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be bad at the end. Like, I figured it would go to decision, and I drank so many beers, and then like obviously I was good or whatever, but I just got so sad at the end. Like, they played that video package, and like My Way comes on, and I shed some tears. I was like, man, just like the passage of time. Like, it's like Dustin was one of those guys, like, you don't really realize how much he means to you now that he's like retiring. So if he ever does come back, I'm gonna be pissed because I shed tears. So
unless they let him go like box Jake Paul and beat up Jake Paul for
that. And just the other thing too about it is like when Max pointed to the ground and they're both like beat up, and Max is, you know, probably besides the Topuria fight, the most damage Max has ever taken, maybe besides the Yair fight. But the fact Dustin clinched for the last 2 seconds, it's like, man, like it's actually like over.
Yep.
This is it.
That was cool because he was looking for he like Dustin had a game plan for that last point down. He was just looking for that short, well, actually probably a left hook with Dustin, but like he was looking for that short right. He started getting hit a couple times. He's like, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah, I would also say too, if Charles and Max goes 25 minutes, Charles is going to be staring at the lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm scared about that fight though. I don't want to see Max lose again. So
he's not. But the problem is he's going to have to face Armin, and I don't think he beats Armin at this point.
I've actually was watching Armin tape before you got on. So
good. He's so
dude,
good. People like hate on him. He's so good. He's the hardest fight for Islam. He was going to be the hardest fight.
He's good content. I mean, people I think that I actually hate certain fighters, but it's like, no, I'm just like, I'm not like hot taking or trolling, but it's like, I mean, I'm gonna call out, you know, BS when I see it or read it. Like, but yeah, Armin's got some of the best ground and pound.
Yeah, he's ground
fighters.
He is killer. I love it. Well, anyways, Gene, man, thanks for coming on the show, dude. We're gonna have to do this again soon. It's always good to sit around and talk shop, brother.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. Where can everybody find all your content?
So on YouTube and TikTok, I am at Gene Rogers CFE. It should pop up now because I did some searching of it myself the other day. So yep, Gene Rogers CFE on YouTube and TikTok. And I do have a Twitter at the same name, but I hate Twitter and I just use it to screenshot news and retweet Blaine's content. So
absolutely, you the man, bro. Well, look, I'm gonna make sure all that's in the description. You guys get at it. Gene's one of the best, and one of those content creators you might not know, but you need to know. He is fantastic, and his takes are always spot on. Now, if you want to keep this conversation going, there's a Discord link below where we talk about this stuff without the timelines and the algorithms. And if you want the longer written version of these ideas, that's what my Substack's for.